Hi, everyone. This is Lori Montoya with Santa Fe Realty Unlimited, and I'm here today with Robert Hill with Vandyk Mortgage. Hi, Rob.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad that you're joining us. Today, we're going to talk about derogatory credit and how long it takes for you to be able to get back into buying a house and getting into a mortgage. So a lot of us have been through difficult times. We've had some people have had foreclosures or short sales that they've had to deal with. So Robert here has basically a flyer here to go over and tell you how long it takes to get out of that to be able to purchase a home again. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that flyer now. Alrighty, Rob, so if you can just kind of go over briefly with this flyer, explain this flyer a little bit more in detail for our viewers out there.
Yeah, so obviously you can see your four main loan types up there, your USDA, FHA, VA, and conventional. They all have their own specific waiting periods of after something has happened. So your negative action here, we're going to talk about bankruptcy. If you've had a bankruptcy, it's not from when the bankruptcy happened, when you filed for bankruptcy. It's more so once that action has been completed officially on the discharge date. So once the discharge date has happened, that's what you see here is your waiting period for each of those loan types, depending on what you're going to be qualified for when you go to buy your new home.
Great. So it was always my understanding that you had to wait 7 years after you claimed a bankruptcy. And according to this chart, it's really it's not that long at all. It's showing 1 to 2 years, 4 years longest for conventional Fannie Mae. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back on, it's helpful for you to be as honest as you can with your loan officer, because we do have to legally ask, and it's on my checklist of things to ask, yes or no, have you had a bankruptcy or foreclosure within the last 7 years? So because that question is phrased that specific way, that's why I think a lot of people think that you have to have it like wait until after 7 years, but really it's just you, like I said, being honest, and that way your loan officer, the professional, can then determine which route you need to go, not just with which loan type, but how long you actually have to wait. And that waiting period, like I said, or that discharge date is very important to us for that reason.
Great. Yeah, it looks like the longest you have to wait is for a conventional, for conventional loan is for a foreclosure. So if you have a foreclosure on property, that's only where I'm actually seeing 7 years is that on this, which is interesting.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of people out there don't understand what a deed in lieu means. Can you explain that for our viewers?
Sure. So if you were in a particular situation where it made more sense for you to just give up the title of your home and then to be able to move on from it, that's essentially what that is. The whole phrase there is actually giving title in deed in lieu thereof. So that's what that means essentially. And I guess to explain a little bit further, your title, if you don't know what that is, that just means you have the deed to the house and you officially own it and you are on title. That's entirely what your title company does their work for.
Gotcha. So a lot of people right now, due to COVID, may have lost their jobs, might be in a situation where they've been in forbearance on their mortgage payments. If they find that they can't get caught up, out of all of these, things that nobody wants to go through, would you consider one better than the other? If you're in a situation where you can't pay your mortgage, as far as getting faster to be able to get back on your feet and get a house again?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And if you do have a mortgage, like you already own a home and you couldn't make your payment, especially during COVID, a lot of the banks have very well advertised the forbearance thing, which obviously isn't on our chart here. Forbearance is a little bit different. It's sort of just an agreement between you and your mortgage servicer of who you make your payments to, saying, oh, I'll agree to start putting payments towards the home at such and such date kind of thing. Or it could be a little bit different. Obviously, it's not super cookie cutter, but that's another option. The only caution that I would say as far as doing a forbearance, we had issues with people, well, rather some mortgage companies out there might have been doing them automatically just as a default. I don't know why, but when you go to refinance, or even if you go to buy a new home, if it comes up on your record that you were in forbearance at any point, it's going to be that much more of a hill to climb, and maybe a little bit more documentation to try and show that you're still making payments on time. And you might even have to wait a full 12 months of good, solid payment history before you can actually do anything.
That is such great information. I'm glad you said that, because I know quite a few people that have gone on forbearance. They think it's kind of a savior for them, but my theory is if you can continue to pay that. And I didn't even realize that that's going to be an issue moving forward if you want to buy another home. So that's really important for people to know.
Yeah, and it could just be the luster of these evils here would be the forbearance, and that's why I thought it worth mentioning. Because as you can see, it's way longer to wait if you had to get, I mean, even the shortest one being a bankruptcy, right? If you had to go and do that, maybe a forbearance might be the answer instead, and just wait a few months or something. Like I said, 12 months is usually like our default for that, but in some circumstances it could be more, it could be less.
Okay. Well, Robert, thank you so much for explaining this to me. If any of you guys out there are interested in getting a copy of this flyer, please reach out to me or reach out to Rob. We're here to help you any way we can. And until our next video, we'll see you later. Thanks so much, Rob. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.